Fabulous. Hi, everyone. This is Lynette Malone from the Astrology Collective, talking with Lin Ewing, who's going to give us a talk on progressions on Sunday, the 22nd of March, if you're in Australia, and Saturday evening, the 21st of March, if you're in the US. And I just want to say, we've just been having this long conversation before we got here. And I said, well, if I stumble around now, because you, at least you will know that we are not AI. We can totally guarantee you that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. So welcome, Lynn. It's really nice to see
Thank
you.
you.
In fact, it's great to see you after a little time away. Uh,
Months and
yeah, I'll just give a quick intro on who is Lynn. Apart from being a really nice person, she's an astrologer and Akashic record reader located in Chicago, Illinois. In addition to doing Akashic records and astrological readings, Lynn offers classes for total beginners as well as workshops for those more advanced and professional astrologers who wish to expand their understanding and knowledge of specific topics. You can catch Lynn or you can check out Lynn at her website, astrologicaldetails.com. Lynn taught some classes for us last year, and she's very, very clear and very good at giving details. We got very good feedback on your classes, Lynn. So always happy to have you helping us to
thank you.
expand our knowledge. Just a little quick personal question before we talk about what you're doing. How long have you been an astrologer?
Uh,
Always like to know.
yeah, I started studying astrology when I was 19, and as you can see, I'm very far from that right now. So I'd say I was probably doing it for friends and, taking classes and investigating for maybe 40 years while I was doing other careers. And then finally I said, okay, it's time for me to start doing this for strangers and, putting out my shingle, as we say, to say I'm open for business as an astrologer and charging for readings instead of just giving them away, which I still do give away when people are like, I don't have any money. And I'm like, that's fine. You know, don't worry about it. Because if you need help, you need help, whether you have the money or you don't. So yeah, but I'm doing a lot more teaching as opposed to readings these days, mostly because I just really enjoy sharing the knowledge and getting people excited about the different aspects of astrology and adding to perhaps what they want, something that they can help people with that they never thought about before, but now they have it, to use and move forward in helping. Because I see astrology, Akashic Records, etc., things like that, as being there to help. That's, it's therapy of a sort, but it's also personal expansion at the same time. And once we understand ourselves better, we can do better and be better and happier, I think.
Totally. And I've got to say, I really respect the fact that that's where you're coming from. I mean, I guess we all do astrology in order to help ourselves and, and hope in the hope of helping others as well. So actually, a question I do have is about Akashic records and astrology. Is there some overlink or are they like two
Yeah.
different things?
I, there are some other people who do both might think that there
Yeah,
is. Personally, I
yeah,
don't.
yeah,
The only overlap that they might have, in my opinion,
yeah,
is
yeah,
that they help people. That's all I
yeah,
can say.
yeah,
I mean,
right.
they're very, very different techniques and very, very different disciplines. Astrology, you got to do your research and you got to put stuff together, and it's I don't know how to call it actually, maybe more practical because you have
Yeah,
things you can grab onto. With the Akashic Records, it's channeling of a sort, and there's no preparation necessary. Just, you open somebody's records, it's a reading of the soul in that. You go into a person's soul essence, which I know sounds like, that's insane, but it's true. And I've been doing that since 1996, It's always amazing to me because I'm always questioning every time I do a reading because it's just the weirdest thing I ever have done. And I'm always saying, am I making this stuff up or is this
Yeah.
real? But the client is saying, oh, yeah. And sometimes I've had to say things to them that I'm like in my head, I'm saying to whatever entities are helping us through this. I don't want to say that. That's horrible. And they're like, just say it anyway. And so I do, because if somebody said that to me, I would be devastated. And I say to the client, they're like, yeah, I know I'm like that. And I'm thinking, whoa, okay then. But the other part of it is there's things that have come through that I could not possibly have known
Yeah.
about. So where's it coming from? Not
Yeah.
coming from me.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting thing because people come with questions, so they're guiding what they want to know. Just as
Yeah.
they might with astrology. I have questions.
Yeah.
Why is this? Why is that? And you can look at it from a different perspective. But I don't see a relationship between them, although someone else might.
Yeah. That's really interesting. I 100% believe that, you know, it's authentic.
Yeah.
Um, because I've had my own experiences of tapping into past lives, and once in a particular type of meditation, and kind of those same questions come, am I just imagining this? Is this
Yeah.
something, or is this,
Yeah.
but I know it's real. And since I was a small child, I knew that I'd had other lives, and there's a
Mhm.
particular one that was playing on this present one. It's like we bring in complexes through
Mhm.
our lives, and it takes quite a few lifetimes to kind of play those complexes out. And in the end, maybe they're not so much wounded complexes or difficult complexes as just strengths and talents and that kind of thing, things that you can give, ways in which you can give back. But yeah,
Mhm.
I had something really powerful, and then a lot of things from the outside happened that just confirmed that synchronicities.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
hmm, which is
But I think it's healthy to always question.
yeah, totally.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, it's a difficult one. What is reality? What is a subjective? It's because I want this to be so, as opposed
Yeah.
to because it is so or was so. And okay, so you're going to give us a talk on progressions, a workshop actually. It's not just a talk. And I forgot to say this to you. I'm kind of jumping around a bit, but I forgot to say this to you before we started. I don't know if you remember that you'd said that I'm sending you people's charts. I've sent you two
Mhm.
already,
Mhm.
and they need to be in the next week or two, I think, in order for you to have time to look. And you will choose five. That was the original.
Yeah.
And look at those and as examples. I mean, not everybody's progressions aren't something that people are constantly going through, like a
Mhm.
transit. But maybe that's why I asked about the Akashic Records. I'm like, why did I ask that? Because there's
Well,
something
progressions
about
are
it's
something.
related to it's the soul's code.
Yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
everything's the soul, right? But progressions are something that everybody is going through all the time. They're just slow
Okay.
enough. We're not always paying attention to them.
Right.
Because I mean, probably the one you might pay attention to most is the progression of the moon, because the moon moves in progression. It moves approximately a degree per month, and it stays in a sign for approximately 2.5 years, just as it would, 2.5 days becomes two and a half
Yeah.
years in
Really.
progressions. So you don't always pay attention to the rest of them because they're slow enough. And I'll give you an example. Several years ago, when I was doing other things and I wasn't paying huge attention to astrology at the time, and I was living a life in my career where every day I'd have a plan, but it didn't mean that plan was going to happen because something would change and I'd have to completely readjust everything. And I thought that was fun. I enjoyed it. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I'm sick of this. I want structure. And I went, uh-oh, wait a minute. I want structure and I want to know where I'm going to be and I want to be able to count on that. I better check my progressions. And sure enough, my son had progressed to 00 Capricorn, 00 minutes. And I thought, ah, that's why. I have changed inside. And that's what progressions are all about. And
Right.
progress is, probably an accurate word for it because we are moving forward in whomever we are. And our natal chart, of course, is always there and always operating, but we're moving along. And I titled this, if I'm thinking correctly on my title of the presentation, it's the unfoldment and evolution of our souls because it is. We're always going to be the person we are with our natal chart, but that natal chart begins to grow the moment we're born. It goes along with us and it reflects what we're going through inside. So it's extremely personal and it can be quite helpful in understanding why you're feeling the way that you are or why it's different from transits because transits are external energy hitting you in a certain way, but progressions are completely 100% personal and internal, and they're only about you. So they're quite interesting to see
Mm.
how a person evolves. I don't always watch mine, but then something will happen. I'm thinking, I better look where my progressions, what's going on. My moon has just shifted. That's why I'm feeling this. That's why this has changed for me. So
Mm.
I do think it's fascinating stuff, but there's so much in this to look at. You've got to be
Yeah.
choosy at different times of what is appropriate for what you need to know.
Mm. That is fascinating. I feel like
Mhm.
you haven't paid enough attention to progressions. I used to have a look
Yeah,
and probably,
maybe
as you
you haven't
say,
needed to,
yeah,
you know, but there will be times when you feel
yeah,
something has
yeah,
happened inside. I
yeah,
need to see what is being reflected
yeah.
in the chart by progressions. What's been evolving or unfolding for me that I am now becoming aware of? And progressions certainly can answer those questions.
Cool. I have one question about that.
Okay.
So when something changes signs, I've had that experience of the sun
Hmm.
changing sign by progression and yet
Hmm.
really feeling it and really noticing that shift and maybe Mercury a bit too. But what
Yeah.
about when by progression something goes opposite one of the outer planets in your natal chart? Like you've
Yeah.
got Mercury progresses and suddenly it's opposite Uranus, or Venus progresses and it's opposite Uranus, might be a better
Hmm.
example. Would
Yeah.
you would be marking a kind of fated
Yeah.
time in your
Well, I don't
life
know that I'd call it
where
fated. I mean, I can see, I'm not going to disagree
yeah,
with fated, but
yeah,
when we use the word fated, it's like you don't have any control or you don't have a
yeah,
choice. And I
yeah,
never think that's true. I
yeah,
always think you have a
yeah,
choice.
yeah,
So it's fated that you have to go through that because
yeah.
there's no
That's really what I
choice.
mean. It's
Good
fated that
luck.
you're going to experience that
Right.
energy,
Yes.
and what you'll
Yes.
do with it is
But
up to your
yeah,
consciousness
exactly.
and your free choice. Yeah, yeah,
Always, always.
yeah,
There's the energy, and the planets don't have an
yes,
agenda in terms of how
mm,
you express their energy. They just
yeah,
need you to express it. And so, yeah, you need to see what's going on. I mean, one of the issues is to give a quick answer to that. I don't feel comfortable doing that because what else is going on in the chart? This is not an
yeah,
isolated thing.
yeah,
And,
yeah.
maybe it's affected negatively, and I say, oh, there's a value judgment. It's an aspect of difficultly, which is
Yeah,
going to affect
yeah,
how you can handle that. At the
yeah.
same time, perhaps there are a lot of positive, easy things coming that say, oh, you've got this, and you're going to make wonderful choices because we're all on this outside helping you with that.
Mm,
So
yeah,
it's quick answers, simple answers are not always positive. I'm sorry, positive is not what I meant. It's
yeah,
the P.
yeah, yeah,
Possible is what I actually meant to
yeah.
say. Yeah,
Totally
yeah.
agree.
But fascinating. And, as looking at it, you can really understand your own personal evolution.
Yeah, that is interesting. And
Mhm.
also, even with when you talk about difficult and easy aspects, I mean,
Mhm.
it depends on your own level of awareness and your own ideas about something. Like if your ideas are a little bit askew, if you kind of haven't got to that point yet of having clarity about something and you've got a lot of easy aspects, so if they end up supporting a
Yeah.
skewed idea, then that
Yeah.
can slip you further down the wrong path until something else comes along to help you gain more
Mhm.
clarity.
And
And difficult
also,
things, yeah, can actually force
yeah,
you to push up against something and shift
also,
what you need to. So, yeah,
if you want to see what are the, what, I'm sorry, you said Mercury in opposition to Uranus, progressed
yeah, as an
Mercury in
example,
opposition
yeah,
to your natal Uranus. You want to see what are those two planets doing with each other in your natal chart, because
yeah,
that's going to certainly affect how you
yeah,
handle the progression to the natal planet. Because if they're in easy aspect together in the natal, it's going to make it easier. And if they're
yeah.
in difficult aspect, it's going to make it more difficult because that's the energy they carry. So, astrology is very complicated.
I know. I'm starting to think. I mean, I really am so looking forward to your workshop that I
Oh,
can.
thanks. Thank
It's
you.
time to
I,
get
I
back
have
into
fun.
progressions because yeah, we've all been obsessed with transits because of all the big stuff going on in the sky,
Yeah,
and
which is important
understandably
too.
obsessed. But there's other things going on as well. And is 3 hours going to be long enough for your workshop? Because I'm starting to think, oh my God, there's so many things to
No,
look at with
have to
progression.
cut it off some point, right? I've had a lot of 3 hour workshops go on for 4 hours. So, we do what we have to do. But I've gotten better over the
Yeah,
years at
yeah,
containing. But
yeah,
the thing is, if you're going on for 4 hours in a 3 hour workshop, there's something going on in that workshop that you're saying, yeah, we need to talk about this stuff. And that's
yeah,
wonderful and fun.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Looking forward to having a good time.
yeah, me too. Highly looking forward to this. And March the 21st to the 22nd, you can
Mhm.
enroll on our website, astrologycollective.org, or become a member and get a discount through our membership pages. But you can see all of that stuff
Financially
on our
smart to
website
become
anyway.
a member. It is. It is.
Yeah, then we can chat about it afterwards in our community.
Yeah.
I think so. That's it, is it? That's all we can
That's it.
say right now. We have to wait till
Okay.
now to the big
Well,
moment.
thank you so
Okay, well, I'm going to
much.
sign off. I forgot to put captions on this. Apologies to anybody with hearing issues. But yes, too much chatting beforehand. All right. Highly looking forward to seeing you and
Okay.
highly looking forward to seeing you,
That's
those of
fine.
you who are coming along.
Thank you, Lynette.
And thank you, Lynn.